Welcome to the Stay Curious Podcast, Employee Spotlight Edition. This episode features Director of Enterprise Applications, Lance Sulton. The Stay Curious Podcast is sponsored by WellU, your brand new resource for all of your NextGen benefit needs. You can find it on Compass, where you can browse through 6 unique campuses for a variety of information and resources. WellU, begin your benefits education today. And now, here's your host, the always curious, Jeff Carroll.
When we first set out to start this podcast, we wanted to accomplish a couple of things. We really wanted to highlight important topics that are going on in our organization. That's kind of what we've focused on to date with the first few episodes that we've released. We of course wanted to have fun because it's part of what we do, and we've done that along the way, and we'll hopefully continue to do that as we move forward. And another big thing we wanted to do in this podcast is really kind of spotlight or get to know different employees throughout the organization that we may not all get as much exposure to as we do some of our higher level executives and things like that. And that's kind of where we're going to start focusing today. And so I was lucky enough to sit down and have a great discussion with someone named Lance Sulton, and we have that interview for you next. So today I have the pleasure of being joined by Lance Sulton. Lance is the Director of Enterprise Applications and somebody who I've known for several years from working in the Horsham office with him before we've all been removed from offices temporarily during all this. So Lance, first of all, thank you so much for joining me. And, I said Director of Enterprise Applications, and that sounds pretty cool. But like a lot of people, I don't really know what that means. So tell us about what does that mean? What does a director of enterprise applications actually do for us?
I'd love to explain that, Jeff, and thanks so much for inviting me to take part in this series. I think it's a great thing to expose NextGen employees to the different areas of expertise throughout the organization, and giving folks an opportunity to explain exactly what they do is it's a really good thing and helps strengthen the overall NextGen family. So once again, thanks to you, Michael and Jonathan, for initiating this overall project. So enterprise applications, what is it? Typically, it's the platforms, the software that an organization uses throughout the organization in some shape or form, a solution that is being used by everyone in the organization in order to run the business. And for the BAS team, the Business Application Systems team, at least the group that I'm responsible for on a daily basis, typically located in a non-pandemic situation in Horsham, we're responsible for serving up and supporting Salesforce, as well as the Oracle solution of CPQ, which stands for Configure, Price, Quote. So you say to folks, Salesforce, you say to them Oracle CPQ, and they go, oh, that's very nice. How does that affect my life, and what does that do for me? Well, we have a very, very broad reach, and we touch a significant number of teams, if not every single team in the organization. And we're talking about the client services account management team, the support organization, account and finance, legal, clinical, marketing, the learning team, sales ops, deal desk, sales, R&D, product development, MCS team, implementation and training. Does it ever end? So those are our goal is to provide a software solution to the broader NextGen organization, and Salesforce and CPQ are two components of that. I report to Karen Bollinger, and she's responsible not only for the Horsham arm of the BAS team, but also the Irvine group, which is focused on SAP, our financials, which also run the business in terms of accounting and finance, and we have integrations between the platforms that I'm responsible for and SAP. So as you can see, the scope is fairly comprehensive, and whether folks know it or not, their daily functioning within NextGen is certainly influenced and in many cases driven by the use of those solutions.
I had no idea. I hear Salesforce and I think, it's you guys support sales, right? Right? It's in the name.
It's in the name.
Um, so that's eye-opening. And the first question I have when you're saying all that, and I think about all the different groups you impact, is so where do you guys fit in terms of, are you in the R&D group? Are you finance? Are you where do you guys fit into from a reporting structure?
Where our team reports up to Dave Slazik, and it's an excellent question. We report up to Dave Slazik, and so we're part of the IS organization. So we live in IS, but the BAS team serves kind of a unique role within NextGen. I like to refer to us as a central services group. We're providing software solutions, business process solutions, working in concert with the various teams that I mentioned in order to enhance and build new functionality within the software packages we support in order to provide the kind of functionality that folks use on a daily basis in order to run the business. So even though we're in IS, we consider ourselves to be kind of business partners with the teams that I mentioned in order to provide efficiencies, to provide solutions that ultimately impact our clients and our ability to run the business.
Very cool. And so as somebody, you mentioned, you said whether people know it or not, right? They may be utilizing some of this software, these systems, all, and it could be ignorance. I will say, I think I may be one of the people who doesn't utilize Salesforce, particularly. So can you give us a specific example, pick one of those groups or two of those groups, and tell us how might somebody use Salesforce? Like, what might they actually do with something like that?
Sure. So Salesforce is a CRM. It's a customer relationship management platform. And when you think of customers, you think of accounts. You think of something in the software that's tracking, identifying and tracking the our customers that do business with us, that purchase our software and our services solutions. So within Salesforce, you have something as basic as an account record, the thing that has the key demographics and elements of what an account is, what a customer is, what's their name, where are they located, what are some of the metrics and demographics about that customer that drive sales, that drive marketing, that drive the account management team, their ability to support the organization or that customer on a support level for the solutions, the software solutions that they've purchased. And then you also have something like the service group, the support group under Dave Youssef and Ben Clark, that has the accounts and their users who log into and utilize their software every day. They have a particular question or an issue about the software. They open up support cases that need to be tied to something within Salesforce that links back to the account record, the user record, underneath the account. So it's the relationship of our customers, the information about them, how we identify them, and then serving up that information to the rest of the organization so that they can do their jobs, they can execute their responsibilities in terms of supporting our clients on like I said, a support basis, an account management basis, on an R&D basis for issues that may be reported, and they link back ultimately to a specific customer. So in a very simple way, these are the fundamental aspects of the customers that we do business with. And then from there, it all trickles down in terms of the kinds of activities that need to take place in order to provide solutions and services to them, as well as just tracking the sales opportunities, the fact that they're looking for new software solutions. And how do you do that? You do it through Salesforce. The fact that you would have projects that need to be initiated when a new software solution is being installed. Where is that being tracked? It's being tracked in Salesforce. Again, all tying up to that account. It's one of the key core aspects of the solution. I'm kind of simplifying it, but
Yeah.
but if you just think we all have an account and a contact record on all of the websites and all of the stores that we visit online, or even potentially person, the old brick and mortar approach. Um, there is an account record. There is a contact associated with you as a person as you do business with those entities. And NextGen is no different. And we utilize Salesforce in order to manage that relationship.
So I would imagine that's also pretty important then when it comes to things like when you're thinking about that record and those contacts are the VOC work we do, right? With surveying clients, I would assume they probably rely on these systems to understand who are those contacts, who are we talking to, where are we getting information. Would that be accurate or am I
That's
off there?
accurate. Yeah, the voice
Okay.
of the client team utilizes Salesforce very heavily, and a significant amount of their data is stored within Salesforce. But we also have connected solutions, applications that we integrate directly with Salesforce natively that provide additional functionality to teams like the voice of the client team. So yeah, the focus and the starting point is Salesforce, but then coming off of that are other software solutions that we can tie in directly with Salesforce. So the voice of the client team is a very good example of surveying, communication, outreach that's taking place that that team will manage on their own, but then utilize many aspects of Salesforce in order to organize their initiatives.
Got it. That makes sense. So you mentioned when you were talking, I couldn't help but think you talked about Dave Youssef's group, right, and some of the work they use, and so I started to think about success community, right, and so is success community is that the same as Salesforce? Are they related? How is am I is that a totally different team? What's the relationship there?
No, that's an excellent question, Jeff. I'm glad you asked it, because when we rolled out Salesforce has been implemented within NextGen since 2008. Originally, it was primarily for sales and marketing. But it wasn't until around 2014 that the organization decided to migrate from our legacy CRM application, SDE. Many people out there probably remember SDE. Served NextGen very well, but we were glad to see it go. It was actually being sunsetted and de-supported. So we needed to make a move. And when we made the move, we decided to go with Salesforce. We investigated a lot of different platforms and packages, but we landed on Salesforce, and we're very happy with the decision. But when we moved from the legacy CRM into Salesforce, there was a branding initiative internally to refer to everything that we roll out relative to supporting our clients directly with service, and it's literally called the Service Cloud within Salesforce. We were going to call it the success community. So anything that was being used internally for NextGen staff or being used externally for our clients was globally referred to as the success community. Initially, it was a great idea. It seemed to make sense. Let's all think of it as one big holistic approach to providing support. But what it ended up doing on a day-to-day kind of experience for my team, it created a lot of confusion about, well, is it the success community, the client-facing portal? Is it the success community that I'm using in order to manage my R&D work or my sales ops work? It was very, very confusing, and the terminology was getting a little muddled. So what we try to do is convince people to stop calling what they're doing internally as success community, refer to it as Salesforce. And when someone comes along and says, hey, a client is having an issue with the success community, we know exactly what they're talking about. So
Got it.
it helps delineate the two facing aspects of Salesforce. It's all Salesforce. The success community, the client-facing success community, is based on and built on Salesforce platform, as well as what everyone who logs in every day sees. They see the logo, that's Salesforce. It's all living within Salesforce.
Very cool. And that, learn something new. That's why I've heard those two terms, and I've heard them somewhat interchangeably, like you said, and that makes sense. I asked you the question about the voice of the client, and it made me think about we just recently rolled out a brand perception survey to try to kind of see how our clients are where we fall on this trusted advisor scale, right? How in terms of how we line up with that as a baseline as we dive into this mission to become one of our strategic objectives, of course, is to become be a trusted advisor to our clients. And I heard that when that strategic objective was rolled out, that there was some excitement on your end about that. And so I'd love to find out why. What was your reaction to that being one of our strategic objectives?
Well, obviously, Jeff, we are not client facing in terms of our core set of responsibilities. We support the teams that are client facing, and we take our responsibility very seriously. We know that when we're delivering a solution or a fix or kind of brainstorming with the business, we know that it's going to have client facing impact. So in a sense, even though the business users are our customers, we're still thinking strategically further out, so to speak, where we know it's client facing. So we really give it the import that's due. But and we as a team, we I think collectively agree that the corporate initiatives are all things that we understand and that we support. But even more than that, when it was the trusted advisor approach was enunciated, to me, I got very excited about it because that's what we do every single day. Business owners, SMEs, subject matter experts, and even folks who may not have a higher level responsibility within their organization, within their teams, come to us for advice. They come to us in order to not only craft a solution, but they come to us to provide them a trusted advisor-like response where we're guiding them with the knowledge that we gained over many years of supporting the larger organization, all of those teams that I mentioned. When someone comes to us and say, hey, I have this thing that needs to do that thing within this time frame, what do you think? We can then come back and say, that's great, we can do it technologically, but we may not recommend doing that because it's going to have impact on this other team, or they could have a downstream effect that may not serve your purpose as well. So this is what we recommend. Can we handle it with a configuration change? do we have to engage in a customization? Do we have to think about acquiring a third-party solution in order to get to the solution that you're looking for, or the result that you're looking for? And heaven forbid, do you think you could have a process change that would preclude us doing the work for you anyway? We're more than happy that to help you, and we will work to provide you with that solution. But do you think that maybe you want to look at it slightly differently, and maybe you don't need us at all? Please give us the work, but think twice.
Yeah.
And we only gain that through the experience that we have collectively as a team, that we've gained over the years that we've not only had Salesforce implemented, but also with the sheer experience and knowledge that my fabulous team has throughout their lives, throughout their professional lives, that they bring to bear on a daily basis. The last thing I want to say about that is we really do take that responsibility seriously. We have mechanisms, processes, and procedures in place that are measurable and enforceable, that we utilize to be that trusted advisor for the rest of the organization.
That's awesome. I love hearing you speak about that. I can see the passion, and it's very relatable. And I think it's such a good example for people to hear. Those of us, right, who aren't necessarily client facing, that kind of two-pronged approach. Well, how do we be trusted advisors internally, but also it's all in the mission of how do we, through that, how are we enabling the rest of our organization to be trusted advisors to our clients? And it doesn't surprise me to see the passion. You're the kind of leader who is very engaged, and in fact, one of the things that I've come to enjoy from you, that anybody who's on the Horsham Slack channel already knows this, but for a lot of our listeners who aren't, you on a daily basis post a musical pick-me-up right, on the Horsham channel. I believe it all started when the pandemic kind of started, and I'm looking in the background as you're talking, and it seems like maybe that there's a theme here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and kind of where that passion comes from?
Sure. It, I've been a musician for 40, 40, blah, blah, 42 years. And I consider myself a professional musician because occasionally I do get paid to perform.
Very
Not,
cool.
not lately. Um, and it's also something that is I'm passionate about. I take very seriously. And one of the aspects of it, as a bass player, I play upright bass and electric bass, but as a bass player, the role that I perform is supportive. So it's kind of a part of my DNA to try to help others, to try to not just give people one-off solutions, or to show up at a gig and just do enough. What else can I do to make the experience more enjoyable? What else can I do to maybe give you something that you didn't expect, and that you'll come away with a good experience with, and something that, as a musician, I really want I'm trying to think of appropriate metaphors, but to get you to enjoy the music. Let's leave it at that and make it memorable. Um, and the same thing with my day-to-day with business. We want to make sure that the solutions we provide are long-lasting, scalable, and make business sense. And when the pandemic hit, I was suffering and experiencing the same things that pretty much all of us have experienced. We don't need to go into the gory details of it, but I was feeling depressed, and I was feeling kind of cloistered, and not happy about the circumstance. And what I do is I try to listen to music that changes my mood and that makes me feel better about the world, not only myself, but the world, and that there is beauty in the world, and that there is hope. And I thought that, you know what, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to use the @ here function with in the Slack channel, and I'm going to let people know about music that I think is significant and important, and maybe if not significant and important, just fun to listen to, and maybe it'll pick you up. Maybe I'll include a little bit of information about my experience and myself with that specific thing. I posted something about the Marx Brothers, Chico and Harper Marx doing this incredible performance together on a piano, and people loved it because it was fun and it was also extraordinary. So, in my humble opinion. So I wanted to share. I wanted to give back. It's been well received. People like it. And when I didn't do it for about a week or so, and then I went back to it, people said, "Where were you? Where were you? What happened?" So, and I didn't do it today because chock-a-block filled with meetings started at 7:30 this morning Eastern time. So, but yeah, it's called Musical Moments of Zen, and
That's it. Yeah.
and and yeah, I've really enjoyed doing it, and when I get a positive response, it makes me feel good, and I hope it makes other people feel good too. Just seeing the videos and listening to the music.
I knew the title was catchier than a daily musical pick me up, but I couldn't. I couldn't remember.
That's okay. That's okay.
um, and you're right. People appreciate it. They respond, and I think it's so cool, and it speaks volumes to. And thank you for the insight into a little bit of the personal side. And I think it speaks volumes about who you are as a leader and as a person. And for me, it makes me think of a cool example. We often get asked the question around measuring values, particularly on rewarding. Well, how do you measure rewarding, and how do you do that? Well, Karen, if you're listening, here's somebody that's going above and beyond out of their way to try to make this a more rewarding environment, to try to pick people up and to have fun. And so, what a cool thing to do. And so, when people ask that question, I think that's just another great example we can give them is here's a there's many ways, but here's one example of how somebody's trying to create a more rewarding environment. So thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to just riff. It's a musical term. Riff on that just a little bit. The rewarding aspect of it. In a in an appropriate way, I love my team. I love every single team member, not only because of their skill set and their professionalism, dedication, and commitment to the organization and our team, but also because they're all fascinating people who we've grown together with, that I've grown together with, whatever the grammatical correct grammar is. I'm a grammar freak, so doesn't always work. I'm not perfect, but um, and the rewarding aspect of my job isn't just doing a good job. It's doing a good job with good people. It's doing a good job with people that we have my one-on-ones. And I think a lot of managers probably do the same thing. I hope they do. Take care of business, discuss the issues at hand, the questions at hand relative to the business, moving the business forward, and then let's talk about who that person is. What are you doing? Are you okay? Is there something going on in your life that you want to discuss? Is there something that I can help you with? How can I make your life with the work that we do together in NextGen, how can we make it more meaningful, better, respectful, work-life balance? People are tired of hearing that, but it's still a true statement. It's still a valid statement and thing. And the rewarding aspect of what I do, and I'd like to think that the rest of the team feels mutually, they have a mutual feeling about it, is that I just plain and simply enjoy working with these people because they're so gosh darn good, and they're so they come from all walks of life, and they bring so much to the table. So it's rewarding, and it's diversity as well. The diversity of opinion and experience that informs pretty much everything we do on a daily basis. It's unparalleled. It's great team. Great team.
But it shows. It shows in who you are and what you do, how much you enjoy your team. And again, I thank you for for the way that you go above and beyond. I've known you for quite a few years now from working together, and you always take that next step. So kudos on that. Um, I do have to put you in the lightning seat before we let you go today, as I'm sure you probably expected. Before I do, is there anything else that we would we would be missing out on if you didn't share with us today about you or about what your team does? Anything else you want to make sure you get out there while you're here?
Yeah, you know, the Bass team, and this extends to both the Horsham entity and the Irvine entity. We're not unlike other teams and other groups within NextGen where we're doing our day-to-day stuff, plus we have project work, plus we have um, you know, growth opportunities, investigations, tech, keeping up with technology. Um, but the Bass team is unique, I think, because of our scope, because of the size of the team. It's across the two areas. It's about 20 plus, 23 people. We have a presence in Bangalore, but the majority of folks are in within onshore. And I think folks may think that we do one thing, or it's just Salesforce. Hey, you just make sure it's Salesforce. I can log in the morning. It's all there. Thanks a lot. Great job. Good deal. It's much more than that. We're making sure we're keeping the doors open of the application, but we're also doing daily support. We receive hundreds of cases potentially, and not in a day, but certainly up to 100 cases a day from the business on issues, requests, questions, various other aspects of just running the business on top of the project work that we do. And the one thing I also want to point out is the critical role of the Bass team for any of our acquisition work and what's referred to as lead to cash projects. So anytime there's a new thing that needs to be implemented into the systems that we manage that have the implication of lead to cash, an actual lead being generated on the marketing side, and the actual collection of that cash, or the getting paid for the services and the software that we provide. We are on the forefront of that, and I want to give a shout out to Karen Bollinger for she may be my manager, but she is also an absolutely extraordinary person that is able to live on both coasts virtually, um, and manage two very large team with very large sets of responsibilities that touch all of those groups that I mentioned earlier on in the call. We do a lot. There are a lot of teams in the organization that do a lot. The Bass team is no different. We like to think that we wear better clothes.
Awesome stuff, Lance. And it's funny you said that about Karen living virtually on both coasts. I think back to prior to us not being able to travel with everything going on, and Karen and I used to joke that we ran into each other more in Irvine than we did in Horsham. So absolutely. Well, this was awesome. I think insightful stuff. Nice peek into what your guys' team does, what your team does, and the greater team does, and a cool little background on you personally. And now I got to put you in the lightning seat. And so I've only got a few questions for you on this one. Some of them are hot topics, and I'm gonna start off with one that is a hot topic, and that is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, it is not. No way.
All right.
No. A hot
Waffles?
dog, it's, you know what? It's, what is the term, sui generis? It's its own thing.
I am with you on that. I think I asked that question to John Beck, and he gave some answer about It's all about if the bread is hinged or not.
Wrong. No.
But
Hot dog is in and of itself. It's its own thing.
that's what I say. I've never heard anybody order a hot dog sandwich. Right?
No.
Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
All right, I go the other way on that one, but that's okay. It won't change my opinion of you. So this one, I'm going to disqualify two professions because you kind of already dubbed yourself as a professional musician as well. So other than your two jobs, the one that we talked about a lot today and the professional musician, what profession would you most like to attempt?
So I've got a fantasy. Jeff, I have a fantasy. Would you like to hear my fantasy?
I would love to hear it.
Appropriate for work.
Keep it clean.
So it's music related. I would love to open up a performance space.
Cool.
I'm old enough, I'm 56 years old. I'm old enough to know what the world was like when there were a lot of clubs to visit, a lot of concert venues to visit, outdoor performances pre-pandemic. I knew what it was like to have the pick of the litter. I could go and see performances, whether it was a musical performance, a play, performance art, whatever the case may be, some place that would accommodate in a relatively comfortable way, didn't have to be fancy, but a relatively comfortable way, some kind of performance. And today we find ourselves in a situation, again, even before the pandemic, where those venues are becoming few and far between. And I would absolutely love to be someone that could provide a space, provide a performance space. It would probably kill me, but and I'd hate it after the first 6 months, maybe the first 6 days. But it's for a worthy effort, providing a space for musicians and performers to ply their trade.
I think that's awesome, and I also, just from what I know about you, I think that space would be pretty cool. I think it'd be a pretty cool place to hang out. Just a couple more. This is an interesting one. If you could replace all the grass in the world with something else, what would you replace it with?
Some kind of vegetation that would help offset carbon emissions and somehow either slow or help reverse global warming.
Good answer. I was thinking like candy or something. I'm not even a big candy fan.
Or gummy bears. Or
gummy bears. Yeah. Maybe they could do both. Who knows? If you could morph two animals together to make one super animal, what would you do?
Gosh. Wow. Whew. Oh my gosh. A leopard and a dolphin.
All right. I also go land sea creature together. Mine would be a silverback gorilla and a great white shark. And I'm going like head of a great white, body of a, it's frightening.
That's very cool. My leopard, because it's the fastest, I think it's the fastest land animal. I think it is. And so the speed of a leopard and the intelligence of a dolphin. So it could run really fast and chirp at you, knowing
Last one for you, and this is staying on the animal track. If you had an animal as a permanent sidekick, what would it be?
Oh, got it. A cockatoo.
Okay, all right.
My wife and I have been on a tear trying to find videos of of cockatoos or cockatiels that are mischievous wise guys that just say the most insane things and are comedians. In fact, I posted something, a video of two cockatoos being serenaded by some guy singing "Don't Be Cruel," and the behavior of these two birds is hysterical. So
That is awesome.
yep.
Lance, you made it. You made it through the lightning seat. That's it. Not too bad. And
Anybody ever not do well in the lightning seat? Come on.
no, it's kind of hard not to. It's it makes for the best footage. This portion for sure. So I can't thank you again enough again for being here today. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know our viewers are gonna as well. So thank you for opening up. Thank you for sharing with us, and keep posting those the moment of musical zen or
Close. Musical moments of Zen.
musical moments of zen to the channel. We look forward to them. So thank you,
Great.
Lance.
And thank you so much, Jeff. I much appreciate it.
Awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Lance. As I mentioned earlier, this is what we want to do more of, is really spotlight different employees, get to know people throughout the organization and understand what they do, what makes them tick, all that kind of good stuff. So if you enjoyed this and you can think of someone else that might make a great person, a great employee to spotlight on this podcast, let us know. You can hit us up at staycurious@nextgen.com. And we welcome those suggestions and any feedback, of course, as always. So until next time, I'm Jeff Carroll. Stay curious.